reassurance that the Democrat isn't going to go along with every aggressively anti-common sense idea that comes out of the woke mind virus, which, yes, is a thing. And if she loses, that will be mainly why. And part of that mind virus is progressive phobia, Steven Pinker's term for the liberal fear of ever admitting when things are actually good. But undecideds don't get that message because Democrats can't make the words, "things aren't so bad," ever come out of their mouths, lest someone somewhere accuse them of not caring enough about people who are struggling. But even in a good economy, some segment of society will always struggle with money, mostly liberal arts majors.
Maher unleashes a sharp criticism of Democrats during a fiery live television segment, targeting what he sees as their habit of using exaggerated political messaging. According to him, the left constantly portrays America as a nation in decline and insists that electing Trump sent the country backward by half a century. The comedian argues that this portrayal is disconnected from reality and believes many of the claims being made simply do not hold up under scrutiny. Determined to challenge what he considers misleading narratives, Maher says he wants to set the record straight. This discussion is bound to spark controversy, so be sure to like the video and subscribe for more bold and thought-provoking commentary.
Is in the hands of a small cohort of undecided voters, those curious few bisexuals of the political world. Oh, everybody loves to mock, but I see it as more of a personality thing. I call them the Christmas Eve shoppers of politics. They know the big day is coming, but they just can't get themselves to do anything about it until the last minute. My father was that guy with Christmas. He would do all his Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve night, an hour before the stores closed. He would go to a single department store with no idea what he was going to get. But that's why a department store is great. Oh, look, toys. I got kids, they like toys. Done.
Maher begins by highlighting a group that often receives little attention in political discussions, undecided voters who do not strongly align themselves with either of America's two major political camps, Democrats or Republicans. He compares them to last-minute holiday shoppers, people who may appear disconnected from the process but ultimately make the most important decisions when it matters most. According to Maher, these voters are not motivated by party loyalty, ideological commitments, or social media outrage. Instead, they are practical individuals who dislike political extremes and grow tired of constant political drama. Maher believes Democrats make a major error by focusing too heavily on satisfying a small but highly vocal activist base. Rather than seeking approval from people already committed to the party, he argues they should concentrate on winning over swing voters who often decide elections. Success, he says, comes from persuading the silent majority rather than entertaining the loudest activists.
Great gift giver because he felt you had to be fully in the Christmas spirit to go Christmas shopping, and being in the store at that hour with Santa and the music and the tree and the whole production going on, it served as kind of a muse for picking presents, and I think there are people who feel the same way about the voting booth. So let me have a word with them. Hi, Christmas Eve voter. Look, you obviously don't like Trump, or you'd be in that camp already, but you're still torn. And I'm the guy who keeps saying, I get why. You wanted more reassurance that the Democrat isn't going to go along with every aggressively anti-common sense idea that comes out of the woke mind virus, which, yes, is a thing. And if she loses, that will be mainly why.
Maher argues that many of these voters remain undecided not because they are confused or uninterested, but because they are actively rejecting what they see from today's political left. He believes that a party once associated with reason, evidence, and scientific thinking is increasingly moving away from those principles. Ideas that seem inconsistent with everyday experience are often presented as unquestionable moral truths, while simple questions are treated as unacceptable challenges. For voters who value open discussion, common sense, and objective facts, this trend can be deeply frustrating. Maher suggests these individuals are not necessarily conservatives in disguise. Rather, they are people exhausted by ideological excess and cultural rigidity. They feel dismissed, criticized, and talked down to whenever they express skepticism. As a result, they continue searching for political leaders who communicate clearly, respect evidence, and focus on practical solutions instead of ideological purity.
Versus progressive phobia, Steven Pinker's term for the liberal fear of ever admitting when things are actually good. As The Economist puts it about America today, an economy with an unemployment rate of 4% and a per-person GDP of $85,000 does not have to be made great again. It is great.
Maher contends that this frustration is particularly noticeable within progressive political circles, where there often seems to be a constant sense of dissatisfaction regardless of how much progress has been achieved. Major victories are rarely treated as final accomplishments and are instead viewed as temporary steps toward new demands. Causes once celebrated as historic breakthroughs are quickly considered inadequate or outdated. In this endless pursuit of change, Maher argues that common sense frequently becomes a casualty, dismissed as old-fashioned or even morally suspect. Ideas that once united large groups of voters are increasingly replaced by positions that many ordinary Americans find confusing or difficult to accept. He points to the movement for gay rights as an example of a cause that achieved remarkable legal and cultural success. Yet rather than building upon that achievement, attention quickly shifted toward more divisive debates involving gender policies and fairness concerns in women's sports. For many voters, Maher says, this creates a fundamental question that Democrats seem unwilling to answer. Where exactly does the process end?
The economy is the Christmas Eve voters' other big issue, and they think it's terrible, when actually it's bigger and better than ever. Makes Arnold Palmer's look like nothing. When we were coming out of the pandemic, every economist predicted we were headed for a recession and all the horrible things that come with it. But, much like Trump's girlfriends,
Maher further argues that this criticism resonates because the modern left frequently presents political and social issues in highly dramatic and urgent terms. Relatively small concerns are often portrayed as major threats, while ordinary disagreements are elevated into crises demanding immediate action. In his view, there is a tendency to transform minor disputes into sweeping moral battles that create a constant sense of emergency. He points to climate discussions as an example, where increasingly apocalyptic language often dominates public debate. While environmental challenges are undeniably real, Maher believes that constant predictions of catastrophe can overshadow facts and discourage thoughtful discussion. He sees a similar pattern across various social causes, where genuine progress is often overlooked and improvements receive little acknowledgement. Instead, the narrative frequently suggests that society is in worse condition than ever before. Maher disagrees, arguing that many indicators demonstrate significant improvements in safety, inclusion, and prosperity. In his view, outrage has too often replaced balance and perspective.
About America today, what Democrats should have been selling is everything that should be low and down is. Unemployment, low. Black unemployment, low. Poverty rate, low. Gas prices, down. And everything that should be up and high is. Manufacturing, real wages, the stock market, personal spending, personal savings, oil production. The U.S. now produces more energy than it uses, which is saying something since we have Las Vegas. Where I'll be tonight. But it's sold out, so sorry.
Maher argues that the available evidence paints a far more positive picture of America than many left-leaning narratives suggest. He points to statistics displayed during his discussion, numbers that challenge what he describes as an endless cycle of pessimism and decline. If these figures accurately reflect the country's direction, and he sees little reason to doubt them, then the overall outlook is considerably brighter than critics claim. Poverty levels have fallen, unemployment remains relatively low, and gas prices have become more manageable for many households. The economy continues to demonstrate resilience, supported by steady growth and consistent consumer confidence despite uncertainty around the world. Yet Maher believes these developments are often ignored in favor of crisis-driven messaging. His central argument is straightforward: when measurable indicators show improvement, claiming that everything is collapsing undermines credibility. It is possible to recognize real problems while also acknowledging meaningful progress. According to Maher, the data presents a clear conclusion: America is not falling apart but continues to function, improve, and move forward, regardless of whether some people are willing to admit